Both under 2 kilos, well done. 2 kilos throws you into parcel force.
When we had the snow last year and it was really bad, I mean, the post office became a real hub because sort of everybody mucked in and people took the post to the people on the edges of the village when they couldn't get into the post office so that the deliveries were maintained.
Well, I think it's the very heart of the village. And without it, the village would be a far emptier place.
In 2010, the people of Dunsfold in Surrey launched a campaign to save their local post office. In just 2 months, the village raised £200,000, and today their post office lives on, run by a group of volunteers. In the last few years, this kind of story has become very familiar. Since 2008, both Labour and coalition governments have been closing hundreds of rural post offices, and time and again the community has come up with a rescue plan. But at a time of economic hardship, why would ordinary people dig deep into their own pockets to save their local post office?
No, it's all right. No.
I'm a historian of modern Britain, and I'm fascinated by the developments, big and small, that have changed the way ordinary people live today. As I see it, the post office has had a profound influence on life in Britain, reaching to every corner of these islands. It was the postal network which first allowed people to send a message further than they could shout, starting a revolution in human communication that continues to this day. But this isn't just a story about communication. The post office provided bank accounts to poor people for the first time. It was once the biggest employer in the world, and it arguably created the very idea of a public service. For my money, it's been a consistently progressive force in British society, and it remains one of our most cherished institutions. Yet within the next 5 years, Royal Mail may well be privatised. Over the next 3 weeks, I'm going to be exploring the social history of the British Postal Service as it faces an uncertain future. Technically it's called the Royal Mail, but I think it should be known as the People's Post.
Open the door and let me in, sir. I am soaking to the skin, sir. Open the door and let me in, sir. Just to post me letter.
Although we may think of the post office as a public service promoting free communication, that's not how it started. At the very beginning of its life, it was quite simply a gigantic machine to control and censor information. At its heart was the power of the monarchy. In 1517, Henry VIII established the first reliable post road to Dover, the most strategically valuable coastal town in the land. Messengers carried letters to and from the court, and there were stages or posts every 20 miles, where tired horses could be swapped for fresh ones. This meant that important correspondence, such as Henry's complex negotiations with the Pope about his divorce from Catherine of Aragon, could travel post-haste. And for 100 years, the monarch and his courtiers were the only people allowed to use it, hence the brand name we still use today, Royal Mail. But in 1635, a merchant called Thomas Witherings suggested opening up the service to the public. He asked King Charles I to appoint him as postmaster, so he could establish
a packet post between London and all parts of His Majesty's dominions for the carrying and recarrying of his subjects' letters, any fight at sea, any distress of His Majesty's ships, God forbid, any wrong offered by any nation to any of ye coasts of England, or any of His Majesty's forts, the news will come sooner than thought.
It was a brilliantly simple idea. Extending the service to the public would raise money to improve the network, which of course in turn meant that intelligence would reach the king more quickly. Witherings opened a post office in the city of London, and before long letters reached Edinburgh in just 3 days. And there was another important point to Witherings's plan.
No post or posts whatsoever shall take up, receive, or deliver any letter or letters whatsoever.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?